Okay, my name is Marianne Lee.
I'm Kylie Dalrymple.
Okay, so I'm going to start. Numerous parents are feeling lost and hopeless as they watch their child become a victim to what recently has become a prominent threat to the family, which is known as cyberbullying. Being bullied is not something you may have firsthand experience with, but we have all been exposed to cyberbullying just by reading comments on a Facebook post. According to the National Conference of the State Legislators, cyberbullying is defined as the willful and repeated use of cell phones, computers, and other electronic communication devices to harass and threaten others. In 2006, at age 13, Megan Meyer was a victim to cyberbullying. She had previously met a boy on MySpace named Josh Evans. Megan and Josh talked often through MySpace, and it seemed as though Josh had found an interest in Megan. Then one day, Josh started saying hateful things to Megan, and not soon after, Josh became publicly publishing things Megan had said to him. This resulted in others from school and random people on MySpace saying mean things about Megan online, such as calling her a slut. Soon after this incident, Megan's parents found Megan's body hanging in her closet. She had taken her own life. What was most surprising about the story was that Josh Evans didn't even exist. It just so happened that Josh Evans was actually being portrayed by a parent of one of Megan's friends whom had a falling out with. The parent behind this created this account to find out what things Megan was saying about her daughter and then to get back at Megan. And there were no charges that were filed against this mother who had done this thing because there wasn't a charge that could fully fit this situation. Sadly, Megan is not the only person to be a victim of cyberbullying. According to Christopher B. Davison and Carl H. Stein from Ball State University, 75% of school-age minors experience cyberbullying aggression at least once in 2010. A study was done on Hawaiian natives that took a sample of 677 high school students and examined the relationship between cyberbullying and mental health. They reported that more than half of the students had been a victim of cyberbullying within the last year. Their research found that cyberbullying victims were 2.5 times more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol, have a higher instance of depression, and were more than 3 times more likely to attempt suicide. Other consequences of cyberbullying has included lower self-esteem and self-image, exhibiting anxiety, skipping school to avoid bullies, and developing a fear of technology. Even though the numbers of teens who are being cyberbullied is a high amount, over half don't tell their parents that they are victims to cyberbullying. And it was found by the Enough is Enough organization that only 1 in 6 parents know their child has been bullied via a social network system. This means that only 7% of U.S. parents are worried about cyberbullying. Too many teens are being made victims to cyberbullying. Not enough parents are being made aware of this attack. When Megan Myers took her life, there were hardly any states that had laws covering cyberbullying incidents. Today, 49 out of the 50 states have laws that cover cyberbullying, and 20 states really centered on. All states of cyberbullying most leave it up to the schools to create and execute a plan that deals with cyberbullying. For example, Florida enacted the Jeffrey Johnston Stand Up for All Students Act in April 2008. This law has a legal definition of bullying that encompasses bullying computers that are used only on school networks and on school property. Yet this law does not cover bullying that happens off school property and not on school networks. Because of the advances in technology, almost every child has a cell phone that can access the internet. It is expected that teens spend 17 hours per week on the internet on average, with some spending as much as 40 hours or more. And according to Berkman Center of Internet and Society at Harvard University, in 2013, 78% of teens had cell phones. So cyberbullying doesn't just happen on school property. Where Megan Myers was from, they have 3 laws that protect those cyberbullied. There's a harassment law and a stalking law that can be used to persecute cyberbullies, and one that covers cyberbullying and harassment on school property. These laws do not just cover children that are in school, it also covers adults and such. For as we've seen on Facebook and other social media sites, cyberbullying isn't just happening to teens. Both of these laws really do cover the individual, but they both also cover the family. As said before, most parents don't know their child is being bullied or know what to do when it happens. Cyberbullying is the problem which these laws are addressing, although Missouri has a law that are covering more than just when it happens at school. Yet neither are really addressing why this problem happens or the effects of it. Because of these laws, parents are slowly being educated on this prevalent issue. Although we have a law in almost a very prevalent issue, these laws are not able to clearly cover and help decline. We need more of a better understanding of cyberbullying, one that incorporates the federal government, seeing as there is no federal stance on cyberbullying. Now what? What can you and I do to help prevent parents from watching their child go through such a horrible thing? First, as an individual, we can be aware of what is going on with the teens around us. Be self-conscious when we are on social media sites. Are we involving ourselves in misconduct, or do we know of people who are? If so, read and speak out. Second, reach out to your community. Organize meetings where children and parents who are victims of cyberbullying, and even those who are not, can get together and spread the word to the community about it being a real thing. Get the community to be aware of the issue happening around them. Lastly, we need to create a federal law, one that creates a general understanding of cyberbullying and puts a standard to what is and isn't legal. We can do this by writing letters and making our federal legislation aware of this issue. No child should ever have to be harassed, not in person and especially not over the internet. Cyberbullying is threatening children everywhere and weakens the family as parents wonder how to deal with such an issue that has no easy solution.
Good job. Okay, so my question is, it seems like in the last couple of years, now that Facebook and it all started with MySpace and everything has come out, that cyberbullying has become more prevalent. And do you think that's because it's just more, there's just more awareness of it, and that gives kids ideas of not only bullying in school and in person, but online? Do you think it kind of sparks ideas in their minds, like, oh, I can do this anonymously online and I can not be a bad guy in person?
I think the idea that it's like anonymous and you can do it, it's so easy to write things like on a computer and that you're not, to say things on a computer instead of like face to face. So I think it is really prevalent, and especially, there's so many examples online where people are getting away with, saying doing things that promote cyberbullying, and so children think they can follow along. They're just doing what other people are doing. Even adults. There was a case. It just happened with this a famous baseball player. But he posted something on Twitter and was like, "Congratulations, honey." It was his daughter, and who had just gotten into college. And he got all these responses from these adult men saying they're gonna rape his daughter and all this stuff. And he stood up for that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. You cannot say this to a minor and to a a girl. And it was insane. But yeah.
Awesome. So. Okay. Well, thanks. That was really good. I don't want to go second. I can't follow up after that.
Sorry. It wasn't that good, but thank you.
Okay, are we ready? I can start now. Okay, so abortion is a new and upcoming epidemic. It has swept through the nation as the easy fix to all sexual accidents. It has become a big debate in our society as to whether or not this is okay, and if it is completed early enough in pregnancy, is it okay? Everyone has very strong opinions about this matter. The Church has a very clear statement on abortion. In the Church Handbook, it states, "Human life is a sacred gift from God. Elective abortion for personal or social convenience is contrary to the will and the commandments of God. Church members who submit to perform, encourage, pay for, or arrange for such abortions may lose their membership in the Church." While the Church has said that some situations warrant abortion, in extreme settings such as rape or when the fetus has severe defects that will not permit it to live outside the womb, or when the mother's life is in jeopardy. With all of these things taken into account, we can see that the leniency and acceptance of abortion is a major threat to the family and children. In finding resources for this speech, I looked to the Brethren of the Church and what was stated in General Conference talks. In April 1985, Russell M. Nelson gave a talk entitled Reverence for Life. He gives a shocking statistic in the beginning of his talk. This war, labeled abortion, is of epidemic proportion and is waged globally. Over 55 million abortions were reported worldwide in the year 1974 alone. 64% of the world's population now live in countries that legally sanction this practice. In the United States of America, over 1.5 million abortions are performed annually. About 25 to 30% of all pregnancies now end in abortion, and in some metropolitan areas there are more abortions performed than live births. This was over 40 years ago. I cannot imagine what the statistics would be like today, now that abortion is even more common practice and widely accepted by society. People now see abortion as a simple fix to one-night stands with bad consequences. People argue that it is the mother's right to decide what happens to their body. I think that the mother made her decision when she decided to participate in sexual activities outside of marriage, and the consequence is getting pregnant. We do not need to decide the consequences that the Lord, or we do not get to decide the consequences that the Lord sees fit for our transgressions. Elder Nelson explains this concept very clearly in the form of an analogy. To clarify this concept, we can learn from the astronaut. Any time during the selection process, planning, and preparation, he is free to withdraw, but once the powerful rocket fuel is ignited, he is no longer free to choose. Now he is bound by the consequences of his choice. Even if difficulties develop, and he might wish otherwise, the choice made was sealed by action. As more and more abortions are completed, the definition and sanctity of the family is being attacked and treated as folly, outdated, and old-fashioned. We as members of the church and receivers of further light and knowledge that Abraham desired to get have a duty and responsibility to spread support for the family, for the view of the family that the Lord has. Some people justify abortion as a way of population control. This view is not backed by anything, and we must have faith that the Lord has created a world in which there is plenty for all the children he sends to this mortal world. Every single life is precious. Why would someone destroy a life that is full of promise and potential when someone else can find joy in the face of a beautiful, innocent infant? I love the reverence that Elder Nelson portrays in this quote. No one can cuddle a cherished newborn baby, look into those beautiful eyes, feel the fingers, and caress the miraculous creation without deepening reverence for life and for our Creator. These infants, whose dreams and potentials are cut down before they ever have a chance to begin, are all children of God who are loved above all. President Gordon B. Hinckley stated that the younger generation is growing and preparing to replace us. In his talk, Save the Children, he discusses the forest fires that raged in Yellowstone in 1988. He visited years after this terrible disaster and saw a captivating principle. The dead pines still stood, but between the burned trees, new seedlings have sprung from the ground, millions of them. Evidently, when the fire hit the treetops, the pine cones exploded, scattering seeds to the ground. There is a new generation of trees now, young, beautiful, and filled with promise. The old trees eventually will fall, and the new ones will grow tall to create a forest of great beauty and usefulness. We need to protect, save, and nurture these little seedlings of this world and raise them upright, because they are the future leaders of this world. They will grow up and replace us. Every fetus, embryo, child, and person has unlimited potential and has a divine right to live a happy life. Now society only views the needs of the mother. In our nation, lately, the laws regarding abortion have been loosened so that now a pregnant woman can have an abortion later on in pregnancy. This all started in 1973 when several court cases came to the Supreme Court saying that by not allowing a pregnant woman to have an abortion, they were violating her 9th and 14th Amendments, which guarantees a woman's right to privacy. Since then, the use of abortion has escalated, and American women have the legal right to obtain an abortion in all 50 states, through all 9 months of pregnancy, and for virtually any reason at all. The reason that some obtain an abortion is because they don't want the responsibility of having a baby, don't want to ruin their bodies for medical reasons, and to simply end an unwanted pregnancy. This law promotes very selfish lifestyle that is the that is enforced to ensure that the individual is comforted and gets to be rid of the consequences to her actions. This law weakens the values of families as babies are killed and murdered before they even have a chance to live in mortality. Society has become so desensitized, and many people view babies as unwanted responsibilities all throughout life, and now beginning families is far from most people's desires in the world. In high school, I knew a girl who got pregnant, and she was forced to have an abortion by her mother. She was told that she would be kicked out, and she was 16 years old, and so she was really young. And so she had an abortion, and she was relieved, but at the same time I could see the guilt on her face and the emotional trauma that she had gone through by aborting her pregnancy. We need to remember the importance of children and be thankful for every child that the Lord sends to this earth. He entrusts us with his most prized possessions and trusts us to provide for them. I cannot imagine the pain and sorrow he feels when a child's life is cut short by parents before it is even given a chance to grow and experience mortality. We must help society see children through the eyes of the Lord and help the desire to protect and love these children the way that they deserve to be. I think that Elder Nelson says it best. No one can cuddle a cherished newborn baby, look into those beautiful eyes, feel the little fingers, and caress the miraculous creation without deepening reverence for life and for our Creator. We must accept President Hinckley's plea to save the children and institute more laws against abortion and in support of protecting the family. That's it. You're on mute.
I'm like talking to myself. Okay. God, I was on mute. Have you, when like researching and stuff, did you ever find like any on like the contrary perspective, did you find any like upsides to it?
Yeah, kind of like what we talked about, how there are some people that the mother will die if they don't have the abortion, or there's defects where the baby couldn't survive outside of the womb. And so it's almost better to abort the baby than risk the life of the mother through delivery or infection, because the baby will start deteriorating. But there's definitely, I mean, as we know, there's a ton of support for abortions and for the mother being able to choose what happens with her body. But like I said in the beginning of my talk, they chose when they decided to have sexual relations, and their consequence they can't choose, and that's getting pregnant, and they have to deal with that. So, yeah, there are some good sides, and in cases of rape, I mean, it's completely up to the mother whether to keep going on with the pregnancy or to end it right there, but, yeah.
Agreed. Okay, I have one question, one more, just because I'm like curious, but I don't know if of having an abortion, you know, like are there any, you know, I forget what I'm trying to say here, like the side effects.
Yeah, there are a lot of side effects. It takes a while to recover from it, depending on how far along you are. Like my friend in high school, she was in pain for like a month after, and it's even longer for the emotional pain to kind of subside. And I can't imagine the guilt they live with their whole lives, you know, knowing that they kind of, I guess it depends on the person and their view on abortion, but like my friend, she didn't want an abortion, but her mom said that she wouldn't be able to live at home if she didn't have one. And so she got one, but she just felt really guilty for getting it because she knew she had taken a life. And so that emotional trauma, I think, is a lot harder to get over than the physical trauma. So, but there are definitely side effects, and it's really risky. I mean, it's risky for the mom, because if you've ever read about how they do it, it's a pretty gruesome process. Like, I was reading some of it, and I was like, okay, I can't read this anymore because I'm going to pass out, and just to think that it's happening to a little innocent baby is so sad. So.
Perfect. Yeah. I think that's it.
All right, and then we just do the peer review link, right?
Yeah, and we send it to each other's Gmails. Do you have my Gmail, or can you find it?
I can probably find it. Here, let me just type it really quick, and then I'll have it for sure.
Okay.
Let me get to the end of my little paper. Okay, go ahead.
Broadcast.